Oh, there he is. Hey.
Oh.
Hey, Warren.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Yay.
I'm very well. How are you? Fair warning, I've been drinking wine since 12:30 at the French Club, including 86 Mouton, 2010 Bienvenue Bâtard Montrachet from Le Flave, and,
so it's going to be extra entertaining tonight, hey?
I'm feeling quite happy.
Good.
Are we letting them in yet?
Yep, they're coming in.
Oh,
44 are here.
Oh, I can't.
Hey, everybody. Tell us where you're at from in the chat. Denver in the house.
You're fine. They're all drinking.
Maryland.
Oh,
Two
no.
Maryland. San Diego. Phoenix. Toronto.
Ooh, Rochester,
Ooh,
Minnesota.
Illinois.
Hawaii.
Aloha.
Montreal. Happy Wednesday to you too, Denise.
Yes. Chicago, nice and close to me. Vancouver, Canada, lots of Canadians.
Indonesia.
Oh, hello there. No, we can't see any of the attendees. You can just see the panelists.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's because of the way we have to set up the meeting, everybody. Because we have, at times, we have way over 100 people. We have to use the webinar feature. And the webinar feature only allows the panelists to be seen because there's no way they can show 100 little cubes.
Oh, Ellicott City, Maryland. I know some people who live there.
Nice. All right, so I know people are still kind of trickling in, but I think we can probably get started since we are a few minutes over here. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Whether it's your first virtual vacation wine tasting with us or your however many, we are excited you're here and we're grateful that you are choosing to spend your Wednesday evening with us to learn about Argentina and taste some fantastic wines. My name is Angela Isherwood. I am the owner and luxury travel advisor of Olive and Atlas Travel, and I am putting on this presentation with my colleagues who all own their own agencies and live all across the country. So we have Candace from Michigan, we have Heidi from Colorado, but she's currently vacationing in Florida, and then two other colleagues who are not here today, Maria from Florida and Susan from Tennessee. So I'm just going to share my screen really quick. Everyone. Sorry, just a second. I got to figure out how to play this now. Sorry, 1 second. So some of you submitted some questions about Argentina, and I'm just going to talk while I get this up and running. Some of you submitted some questions about Argentina in your signups. That's great. We're going to answer those the best that we can. And then if you have any other questions, feel free to type them into the chat box while we go, and we'll be monitoring that and answering them at the end of the presentation. So here to talk to you about Argentina, as I mentioned, this is our group. We're called Eat, Drink, Travel. We focus on culinary and wine and all sorts of immersive travel experiences for our own personal journeys and for our clients. And when the pandemic happened, Maria and Candace really had the idea to start these virtual vacations where they would allow people to kind of armchair travel at a time when we were all locked inside and in our homes. And it has been a really fun way to keep the inspiration alive, to keep the love of travel alive. And we appreciate all of you who are here kind of taking these weekly journeys with us. So this is how you can contact us. These all of our names and email addresses. We're also, you can find us on Facebook. We have two private Facebook groups. One is called Take a Virtual Vacation, and one is called Eat, Drink, Travel. Eat, Drink, Travel is obviously more focused on the culinary type travel experiences. And you can also find us on YouTube. And then we each have a meetup group in our local areas. So we have Maria in Tampa Bay. She has a meetup group. Candace in Detroit. Myself in the Lake Country, Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. Heidi is in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. And then Susan has a chapter in Tennessee. So if you're from any of those areas, definitely make sure you're joining us on our meetup group and staying in tune. Eventually, we hope to be able to have some of these things in person, but for now, we're sticking to virtual. Okay, so now I just want to introduce you to two other people who are going to be joining us today. So Loli Marino is here from Oriunda Travel Designs. She is all the way in Buenos Aires, so it's late her time, and we really are grateful for her being here and being able to present to you guys. I think you're going to be blown away by her presentation. She does an amazing job showcasing the passion she has for her country and just how fantastic and amazing it is and how diverse it is. It is truly, I mean, it's an amazing country. So you'll see as she begins to talk. And then at the end of the presentation, Warren, who you may have met times before, if you've joined us before, will host our wine tasting event focused on Argentinian wines that he will tell us all about. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing, and Loli, you can take it away.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you very much, Angela, for your introduction, and hello, everybody. I hope you are very well. I will start with my presentation just to make you travel to this wonderful country. Right now, I am in Buenos Aires. I'm from Buenos Aires. You know that oriunda means native. When you say I'm from Argentina or I'm from Buenos Aires, you say that I'm oriunda from Buenos Aires. So to start with, I would like to share that our country, Argentina, is a very, very big country. It is the 8th biggest country in the world. The most important is that Argentina has amazing, amazing landscapes, a huge contrast of different countries, of different landscapes. We tend to say that we have everything, the most diversity contrast of landscape. Buenos Aires, to start with, it is a very gorgeous city. Then I will get you immersed in this wonderful city that it is by far the most cultural city in Latin America. Then we will travel to the Iguazu Falls, which are one of the new 7 nature wonders, pretty near the Iguazu Falls, the wetlands that address mainly wildlife lovers. Then we will fly to the north of Argentina, which is so beautiful. All this area that has more to do with Bolivia or with Peru than with the rest of the country. Cordoba, which is an amazing destination for golf hunting, and also it has beautiful estancias pretty near Cordoba, Mendoza, that I think that is the main attraction for this presentation. Mendoza is wonderful, and Warren will introduce you to beautiful and delicious wines. Going further south, we will get to our Lake District, Bariloche, which is amazing with the most beautiful landscape, blue lakes, Emerald River. It addresses fly fishing fans, an adventure, wonderful family vacation for honeymooners. All this area, the Atlantic Patagonian coast, that is full of wildlife, which is amazing. From September to April, you can meet everything there. Whales, penguins, sea lions, elephant seals. So for wildlife lovers, also this area of Patagonia is amazing. And then we will get to our southern Patagonia, which is home of glaciers, amazing landscape, the southern city in the world, which is called Ushuaia, and El Chaltén, which is home of the Fitzroy, the second highest peak in America, the Fitzroy. So we have unforgettable experiences, and I will start with Buenos Aires, the city that I live. As I mentioned, it is the most cultural city in Latin America. Buenos Aires has everything. We have amazing experiences. of course, that this city is famous for tango. The tango is our national dance, which is amazing to watch a spectacle, a tango show, but it's also very fun if you can experience a milonga. We call milonga the places that locals go to dance tango, which is a very, very beautiful experience to feel the tango, to understand the code behind the dance. It is a wonderful city for its art, for polo, of course, for its architecture. Buenos Aires is completely mix of different architecture. You maybe know that Argentina received a lot of immigrants during our golden years, that it was in the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. We received a lot of immigration from Italy, from Spain, from different countries of Europe, and you can feel it in its architecture. If you are in Recoleta, the neighborhood that I live, it is the architecture. It looked like very French in style. The Opera House, which is the Colón Theater, has been recognized as the most important opera house in the world. So Buenos Aires, you are like a foodie. Buenos Aires has like amazing restaurants. We can organize cooking classes, architecture tours, as I mentioned, different styles of architecture that the city has, cooking class with the best chef, a street art tour that is another characteristic of this beautiful city, and pretty near the city you can visit or spend a day or just an overnight in the countryside. In 1 hour you are immersed in the countryside, and it's beautiful to get in contact with nature, to enjoy horseback riding, to enjoy the most delicious barbecue in the countryside with gauchos. So from Buenos Aires, we will fly to the Iguazu Falls, which are at 1,200 kilometers. You have to take an hour and a half flight. This area is beautiful for the waterfall, of course, but also for its wildlife. 80% of the waterfalls belong to Argentina, and only 20% of the waterfall belongs to Brazil. But we always say that the best panoramic view are in the Brazilian side, and you can feel very, very close to the waterfall from our side, but the best panoramic side is from Brazil. So both visits are a must and are complementary. 2 days or 3 days are enough to visit this wonderful destination. And if you are a wildlife lover, pretty near the waterfalls, you can get to the wetlands, which are the second most important wetlands in the world. Amazing place to be to get in contact with whales, with the capybaras, the caimans, with a jaguar, which has been reintroduced a few years ago, and it is a wonderful, wonderful destination for wildlife lovers. So from Iguazu Falls, you can take a direct flight to, and we are flying to the north of the country, just in contact with Bolivia, to get to Salta, which is one of the most important provinces in Northwest Argentina. Our heart is here. The northern of Argentina is magnificent for its landscape, for its flavors. It is the second most important wine region in Argentina. They produce mainly Torrontés, which is a white wine that is the only strain from Argentina. We are very famous for our emblematic wine, which is the Malbec, but in fact, the only Argentinian wine is the Torrontés. And also, it's a wonderful area to visit the different wineries, to get immersed in this wonderful landscape. It is like a trip to the past. The people are so warm, wonderful hotels, beautiful landscape, the most tastiest empanadas that you can try in Argentina are from the north of this country. And we will get to Mendoza. That is this is Zucardi that later on Warren will introduce to this impressive winery, which is amazing. Not only for its wine, the landscape and the architecture is really, really impressive. Mendoza, it's my favorite destination, not only for its wine, it is like a wonderful place to get in contact with nature, and for adventure lovers, it is like a fantastic place. It is home of the Aconcagua, the highest peak in America. So it is a destination that calls not only wine lovers, also adventure and trekking lovers. This is Zucardi that Warren will introduce later on, but as I mentioned, the architecture, the history of the Zucardi family is really, really interesting. And we always tend to organize different wine tours to visit a mix of different wineries, from a familiar winery to a very premium winery to a tiny boutique. Best is to meet the owners or the enologist or the sommelier, and to taste different wines from the different wine regions in Mendoza. You can also visit the vineyard in an antique cart, or do a horseback riding at sunrise or at sunset, a bike tour, classic cars, rafting. Mendoza is also the capital of rafting in Argentina. Why not hot air balloon? So the possibilities are so many, and it's a fantastic destination for 3 or 4 days or a week. We can organize completely different experiences with fantastic wine per lunch. Gastronomy is phenomenal, not only for the wines. Mendoza has like a really good chef. Just next to Mendoza is Cordoba, a fantastic destination. Maybe at the end of the trip, you can end your trip in a very nice estancia to do a horseback riding or playing golf, which is like a very nice destination. And from Cordoba, or from Mendoza, you can take a direct flight to get to the Lake District. The flagship of this amazing destination is Bariloche. That is the first picture that Angela showed you with the Cathedral of Bariloche. Bariloche has the perfect landscape. It is like this area, all this region receive mainly immigrant from Germany and from Switzerland, and you can feel it in its flavors. It's a lot of chocolate, a wonderful chocolate, but its gastronomy is like really delicious and completely different than the gastronomy that you will taste in Buenos Aires or in the north or in Mendoza. So Bariloche has fantastic landscape with blue lakes, Emerald River. For fly fishing lovers, it is the paradise. We can organize like a very nice pirate navigations, a chocolate tasting in the middle of the nature, trekking, because it is also a fantastic place to do different trekking in the mountains. It is northern Patagonia, not so cold as in the glaciers. So for trekking lovers, for honeymooners, for family vacation, this is like a wonderful place. Also, as I mentioned, for fly fishing lovers and for families that or why not honeymooners that can have the highlight of the trip, and we can organize a fantastic glamping in the middle of the national park or in the mountains. And from Bariloche, we will cross the Patagonia to get to the Atlantic Ocean to visit the Peninsula Valdez. which is home of the whales, sea lions, penguins, elephant seals, that from September to December you can meet whales, and from September to April you can meet penguins, and also elephant seals and sea lions, and a lot of birds. So for wild lovers, for wildlife lovers, and also for family vacation, can be a very nice destination. And then we will take a direct flight from Trelew and from this area, from northern Patagonia, but on the Atlantic Ocean, to get to Calafate, which is the home of the Perito Moreno glacier, that is the most famous glacier that we have in Argentina. It is amazing. What can I say about this beautiful glacier? So it is the different, many different possibilities of experience the Perito Moreno. Maybe the most beautiful, if you can walk on ice, it's completely different, a very nice experience. So from 10 years of age till 65 years of age, you can walk, and it is a very easy walk, very enjoyable, and it is like a once in a lifetime experience walking on the Perito Moreno glaciers to get to the caves. You can also do kayak in front of the northern face of the Perito Moreno glaciers. Of course, visiting other glaciers which are also fantastic, different trekking to get to like a marvelous places and awesome landscape. This is like a really impactful glaciers, not only the Perito Moreno, it's like really worth visiting at least, or spending at least 3 days to visit the Perito Moreno glaciers and to visit any of the other important glaciers in this area, or do a 2-night cruise along the different glaciers in Argentina. And just 2 kilometers from the Perito Moreno, you get to El Chaltén, which is home of the Fitzroy Mount, the second highest peak in America, and also it is the capital of trekking. It is amazing place for trekking lovers. You can spend here 3 days or even a week, and I promise that this is like, it has the best reward, the different panoramic views of the Fitzroy and the Torre Mounts, and it is, this destination has amazing hotels. And from this is Aguas Arriba, just a tiny lodge that you can access the lodge only after walking 3 hours or just taking a 15 minutes navigation. But this is like a highlight very near El Chaltén. And from El Chaltén, we will take go back.
Hey, Loli.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Some people are just saying, can you slow down just a little bit?
Yes, of course.
Great, thank you.
Yes. This is Aguas Arriba. Aguas Arriba as a 5-room lodge. Very nice. As I told you, the only possibility to access the lodge is by taking navigation, a 15-minute navigation, or a very nice experience if you walk 3 hours to get to the lodge. Of course, that your luggage go by boat, and it's part of the, you go to El Chaltén just to walk. So if you're a trekking lover, this is the place to go in Argentina, and it is super easy to combine with Torres del Paine in Chile. So it's like it's the same distance if you fly from Santiago to Punta Arenas and then go to Torres del Paine National Park. That is another wonderful spot of our Patagonia in Chile. We work Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. And from El Chaltén, you go back to El Calafate and take a direct flight to get to the southernmost city in the world, that is Ushuaia. Ushuaia is amazing for its flavor. The highlight here is the king crab. The king crab is amazing. Also, the sea bass is delicious. Different kind of fish And one of the highlight in Ushuaia is to have the experience to catch your own, to go to the Beagle Channel, catch your own king crab, and then go to a very tiny restaurant that the chef will prepare for you a delicious king crab. Or adventure, why not a 4x4 vehicle to get to the Fagnano Lake, which is one of the longest lakes in the country, to visit the national park, Tierra del Fuego National Park. This is the only national park in the country that has everything: mountains, river, lakes, lagoons, a fantastic place to do very long trekking. What else in Ushuaia? The Penguin Rockery, as in the Peninsula de Valdez. You can also have the possibility to meet penguins in Ushuaia. And from Ushuaia, you can take the Australis cruise, which is like another once in a lifetime experience to get to Cape Horn and to visit all the different fjords along Tierra del Fuego to get to Punta Arenas in Chile. And then from Punta Arenas, you can continue to Torres del Paine. So it is super easy to combine El Calafate, from El Calafate to move to Puerto Natales or Torres del Paine National Park in Chile, or you can take this cruise in Ushuaia, or you can leave also from Punta Arenas. And if you leave from Punta Arenas, you end in Punta Arenas is in Chile, and you end in Ushuaia in Argentina, or you can leave from Ushuaia in Argentina and finish your trip in Punta Arenas in Chile. So it is super easy to combine both countries, and both countries are really, really amazing. So that's a little about this wonderful country that is Argentina, and we can also help with Angela, Heidi, and Candice in Chile.
Thank you, Loli. We
Thank
just
you.
were having some people put in the chat, you know, some questions and some information. So
Yes.
if those of you
So
who,
I will answer.
yeah, if those of you on the call want to ask some questions, you can reach out to us. Just send us your email, and we'll be happy to send you the brochure and the itinerary information that Loli put together for us. So please reach out to one of us, whoever invited you, and we'll be happy to get that information to you. Just so everyone's aware, Argentina is as big as the United States, for those of you living in the States. And you know, as American citizens in the US, you can have a completely different experience depending on what part of the country you're in. So I think you did a fantastic job of trying to hit all the different geographical areas, the different climates, the different regions, the different experiences that you can have. And Argentina is one of those countries where, quite frankly, you could spend a month and not see and do everything.
Yes.
Also,
exactly.
we will have the this is being recorded, so you can watch this again. It'll be available by whoever you got your link from, and you can watch it and put it on pause and take screenshots and do all of that. So you do have that available to you after tonight.
Okay.
Great.
I will answer on the chat, okay?
Okay, so one of the questions that came through, Loli, is
Yes.
why is it good for fly fishing? Is there a certain type of fish that people try to catch?
Yes, the best experience is to go to the northern Patagonia, Bariloche, but also pretty near Ushuaia. The name is Rio Grande, and both destinations are amazing to fish trout. In all northern Patagonia, as in Ushuaia, I mentioned the sea bass or the king crab. In all northern Patagonia, if you go to a restaurant, the main dish will be a trout, delicious trout, and it is like a big and different kind of trout. From November till April and sometimes to May, you can fish trout. The best trout, very, very, very big.
Sounds awesome. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Loli? I know some of you were just hoping that she would slow down. So she did slow down, and if there's anything you wanted her to go more in depth on, she'd be happy to do that. So please let us know. So I'll watch slowly as they come in, but
Yes.
in the meantime, if we want to, okay. Can you talk a little bit more, Loli, about the art and the murals?
Yes, of course. Well, Buenos Aires is fantastic. We have a huge experience in art. This city has amazing museums, artists, and it is like a very very nice experience if you are interested in art, to visit different museums, the fine art galleries, to meet, and why not with artists. All our guides, most of our guides have a PhD in art or in fine art. So it is like a very nice experience to visit, and to, depending on your interest, to visit different kind of artists. But contemporary art in Argentina, mainly in Buenos Aires, is very, very important. And we have amazing, amazing museums. And also one of the main facades or characteristic in the south of Buenos Aires is its amazing murals, huge murals, depending on the area you go. For example, if you go to Palermo, that is like the coolest area for Buenos Aires, you can watch with Ana, that is our specialist in street art and the person who developed the graffiti tours in Buenos Aires. But there are like a very nice murals, very impressive from an artistic point of view. But if you go to the south of Buenos Aires, and it is La Boca, which is like one of the most, one of the must that you can visit in Buenos Aires, or San Telmo, that murals are very impressive, not only because they are beautiful, but for the content that they try to sometimes to communicate, to fight against the human rights. You know that Argentina suffered a military process in the 70s. And there are a lot of murals related to this cause that are really, even today in the 2021, it is like a very impressive, and it tried to even fight against that, because every year there are like more people that appear from not how do you say, Angela, please help me with you are my grandmother or grandfather, but
Yep.
I'm which is the nieto,
The grandchild?
Yes, the grandchild, sorry.
Sure.
Every year there are still new grandchild that appear and can connect with the real family.
Wow.
That has been kidnapped during the military process. So that mural tried to fight against that area and that process in Argentina during the
Sounds fascinating.
70s. Yes, but it's like a really nice experience to do the street art tour in Buenos Aires.
Thank you. Okay, we got a lot more questions. So when is the best time to travel to Argentina?
During our spring and summer, from October till April, it is like a wonderful month to visit all the country, because Patagonia is very nice in October, November, December, January, February, and March. And even in April, it's very nice.
Great.
If you are wine lover, this time, February, March, and April, with the vendimia, or the harvest time, it's very, very nice.
So there's a couple of questions in the Q&A too, about buses, trains, and the best way to travel, and is there train travel trips? So apparently some people are looking for train travel as well.
Yeah, you say, can you train?
Choo-choo.
No, yes, no, it's not the best, because Argentina is so big that the closest Buenos Aires is the main entrance of the country, or Mendoza if you are entered from Chile. But the thing is that from Buenos Aires to Mendoza is 1,200 kilometers. From Buenos Aires to Iguazu is 200 kilometers. From Buenos Aires to the south is more than 1,500. So it's too long. And if you go by bus, of course that you can rent a car, of course, but you will just miss a lot of days traveling. So the best way is by plane.
I was just going to say the best way
Yeah.
is when you fly in from the United States, typically into Buenos Aires, because
Yes.
it's a huge hub. Then you spend some time there, get acclimated to the time zone, that kind of thing, and then decide: am I going north? Am I going south?
Exactly.
You know, if you're limited in days, like a lot of United States citizens only get 10 days. You know, and it is what it is.
Yes.
So you have to kind of pick your decisions and then plan to come back, right? Isn't that what you say?
So that's a good question, Lily. Somebody asked, how long is a good time for Argentina? So I know that's a hard question.
Yes, it's a hard question because Argentina, it has because I just tell the most important destination, but this country is amazing. But I think that we are very used to organize with 10, 12 days. Most people from America come during December, and the holiday season is very important and the busiest time of the year with 10, 12 days. And I recommend to visit at least 3 destinations. You can, for example, spend 3 nights in Buenos Aires and then go to Iguazu and combine with Mendoza, or go to Buenos Aires and combine Mendoza and Bariloche, or 3 days in Buenos Aires, 3 days in Mendoza, and why not 4 days in Bariloche or 3 days in Calafate. So I would say with 10 or 12 days, you can have like the most beautiful destinations. Buenos Aires, for me, is a beautiful city, and it's it's a must. At least 2 nights. Best would be 3 or 4 nights, but at least 2 nights, and then just move to any of the other amazing destinations that we have.
So Loli, if you're not a person who loves adventure and you don't want to be super active, Paige wants to know a little bit more about the architecture and life in Buenos Aires and the bigger cities.
Well, Buenos Aires is like a beautiful city to spend 7 days. We can just organize a very nice experience, for example, with an architecture tour, with the highlights of the city that are like a tour in Recoleta, that is the most French style. And if you are like an art lover, you can combine this area visiting, for example, the Opera House. We can the Opera House has every an hour different visit, or we can organize a private visit just for you with an architect. Why not visiting different galleries in Recoleta? For example, another day to visit Palermo, the coolest area of the city, with the street art, or for example, with designers, or with the other fine art galleries that are pretty near Palermo. The south of Buenos Aires that I mentioned, San Telmo, La Boca, that has more to do with our immigrants, a very Italian and Spanish architecture. Milongas are every day. It's not that you go to dance tango at night. We dance, well, not me, but people go to dance tango, because I don't know how to dance tango. But it's like a very fun experience to go to the Milonga. For example, at midday, crazy people just go for lunch. Not now, because not many people are working in the office. But it's like at 1 or 2 or 3 p.m. they go to dance tango. So we can organize, for example, a tango lesson, then followed by a Milonga, and why not to a very emblematic bar in Buenos Aires, architecture tours, one day to go to the Delta. We have a very nice Delta, and we can organize a private navigation in Tigre. Another day to visit in the countryside, not like it's not of course, if you want to do a horseback riding in the countryside, but it's not, I can promise that we can guarantee the best barbecue in the countryside, or a cooking class. So it's like a very
sounds
nice,
wonderful.
Yeah, Maria mentioned how she was saying that a lot of Americans will actually plan a month and just go to learn how to tango. So maybe there's a future group meetup trip in our future.
Yes. Imagine that we have like in August, this was the first year that it didn't occur, but we have the championship of tango. So there are a lot of
Wow.
people from Japan, from Colombia, from all different countries in the world that come to Buenos Aires just to dance tango during the week. And I can tell you that the winner not always is from Argentina. There are a lot of couples from Japan that win every year the tango championship.
Wow.
And the Tango Cup, yes, they are crazy about tango. And it's like a fantastic experience to learn tango.
So can you answer a question about altitude sickness and things like that? Like, for example, those of us that are in the lower lands, if we live in Florida and right on the water,
Yes.
when we go to Denver in the United States, for example, the airport actually sells these little CO2 cartridges that you can, take for altitude sickness. Do you guys
No,
have things like that too, or no?
no. In Argentina, it's not
Okay.
an issue. Maybe in the north of Argentina, and if you go, for example, to the train to Las Nubes, but it's not an issue. The height. If you go to Mendoza, you will be at 1,000 above sea level. So it's like not very high. It's not Peru, it's not Bolivia, it's not Atacama. That if you go to the geysers, perhaps you can just get to you need to be acclimated or I don't know how to say in English, but
Yep.
yes. But in Argentina, the height is not an issue. Just in some part of the northern of Argentina, but just from like a very trekking people. But the rest is very safe.
So one of the other questions in the Q&A was about bugs and mosquitoes. I have to assume you have them just like us.
No, it's like well, with product, it's summer, but it's not an issue. You don't have to put any vaccine to come to Argentina. Of course, now we all hope that the vaccine against the coronavirus, but not against the mosquitoes. Not Argentina is very safe. Even if you go to the waterfalls, it's not Brazil, that the Amazonas. This is different.
Great. So Elizabeth is asking, how's Christmas in Buenos Aires?
Christmas is, we are a Catholic country, so Christmas is a very religious for us, and a very familiar event. So every Christmas you tend to to join and meet with family. And it is like a very quiet. If you come to Buenos Aires on the 24th and on the 25th, especially because on the 24th everybody work, but on the following day is a national holiday in Argentina, and it will be very quiet. In the rest of the country, it's like one day more because it's very touristic. But Buenos Aires, specifically at Christmas, it's like a very quiet day. Everything is closed because it's like the most important national holiday in the country.
Great. So I think there's just maybe two more questions. Best time of year to see the wildlife, such as penguins?
Whales from June to December, but if you can meet everybody, you can have to come from September to the first day of December to make sure that you take the navigation to meet the whales. But the best time of the year is October and November.
Great. And then Bernadette, the time difference from New Jersey or Eastern time zone to where Loli is 2 hours ahead.
Yes, 2 hours.
And then what are the beaches like in Buenos Aires?
She also asked about flight times. It's a relatively longer flight from New Jersey, so I don't know if it's like 8 hours,
No,
9
8
hours?
hours. It's not so
Yeah,
long.
8
It's
hours.
well, we are like we are very used to take like a very long.
I get that.
Yeah.
But those of us in the States go from
Yes.
Detroit to Florida
Yeah.
in 2 hours and call it a
Yes,
holiday.
yes, I
So
know.
I want to be realistic.
Yes, yes, I know. 8 or 9 hours. It's from the US to Argentina, but then within the country is 1 hour and a half or 2 hours,
Right.
with exception to go to Ushuaia, that is 3 hours and a half. And Angela, you mentioned beach.
Yes.
We cover everything. So as Argentina, I have to say that we have nice beaches, but not for touristic, just for us. The best beaches are in Uruguay. We don't have in the country, but in 1 hour you can get to the best beaches in Uruguay. Jose Ignacio, it's fantastic, and Punta del Este, which are very, it's like our Saint-Tropez in Latin America, or in South America, to be honest. But it's like a fantastic hotels, very nice atmosphere. It's like the main restaurant from Buenos Aires and the fine art galleries from Buenos Aires during summer moved to Punta del Este.
Wonderful.
It's just a 40-minute flight to get to Punta del Este, or you can take a ferry to get to Montevideo, 2 hours, and then rent a car and continue 2 hours car drive to get to Punta del Este or Jose Ignacio. And there are fantastic, fantastic hotels.
Okay, last question, and then we'll move on to Warren. So Bernadette's asking, what would you budget for a trip to Argentina for 10 days?
It depends on the quality, not the quality of the which hotels will you choose. We work with, of course, high-end hotels, 4-star hotels, boutique hotels. Depends on the destinations. For example, the northern of Argentina is very cheap. Southern of Patagonia is a little more expensive. Mendoza depends. If you go to the Vines, that is the best hotel in Argentina. It's like about $800 per day, but then you have like a very nice boutique hotels for $200. I would say that with $4,000 or $5,000, we can design a very, very, very nice trip, like a top trip. But of course, depend on your budget. We can adapt from boutique hotels to high-end hotels.
Thank you,
And
Loli.
then there are like, sorry, Angela. And then there are like, of course, that, for example, Mendoza, that is the main interest for tonight. Of course, that we recommend to have a driver and rent all private tours, because it's safer and relaxed if you go to the wineries and then enjoy.
Yeah, I will attest to that. Private
yeah.
tours. Private tours when you're drinking wine is a
Yes.
fantastic idea.
Yes, exactly. But of course that you can rent a car and it's very easy to move following our tips. Of course that the best experience will be to have everything organized, and all wineries require private reservations in advance, and to have your a private driver is the best. All our drivers are bilinguals and speak very well English, so it's the best experience. But of course you can rent a car and move in your own, and then you will just pay attention with the wines you taste during the day.
Awesome. And then, okay, again, one more question. Any recommendations for Ushuaia to Antarctica?
From Ushuaia and?
To Antarctica.
To Antarctica. Antarctica is fantastic. The same as the Australix cruise, can leave from Ushuaia or from Punta Arenas, that is the southern city in Chile. Antarctica, it depends on, because it's like there are so many ways to experience Antarctica. You can experience in an express way with 5 days and you fly, but if not, 9 or 15 days, but then it will depend on how luxury or adventure you want to contact Antarctica. If you want like a very adventure style with kayak, and why not sleep on, not on the cruise, just on the the ice, it can be like a very impressive, it's completely different. Of course, that I say it's a once in a lifetime experience, walk on the ice on the Perito Moreno glaciers, but to get to Antarctica is completely out of this world. It's like
And I
a
imagine, I
very,
imagine, Loli, you also have trips going to the solar eclipse
yes,
this year. Yeah.
yes, this year on the 14th of
Yes.
December, and it was
Yes.
like a very nice
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
But Ushuaia is like also a very nice destination. It has fantastic hotels, and it's like a more active for active travelers, not adventure, just active. You have to walk and to 4x4 vehicles, or fishing your own crab, or visit the penguin rockery. It's not that you will just sit on the car and contemplate the landscape. It's a destination for like an active traveler, and it's like a very, very nice.
Wonderful. And can you just tell us a little bit about the weather?
Weather in Ushuaia is an island. It's not in the continent. So it's like in summer, you can experience all seasons. In winter, it's not as cold as in the summer, because it's an island. The water acclimatate the island, but it's also fantastic for skiing in winter. It's like I don't know how to say in Fahrenheit, but in degrees, it's like about 8 degrees, from 8 to 10 degrees in summer, and in winter it can be 0 degrees. It's not like we never suffer winter in Argentina. In Buenos Aires, it's like it's not like a very cold winter, but even in Bariloche, that is fantastic for ski, all the northern Patagonia, and also Ushuaia is not so cold. It's like a very, very enjoyable.
Great.
And Loli, you can do plan trips and tours to Easter Island as well. Is that?
Yes, of course. Like we organize everything in Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay, and we have, as Angela knows, our own team of guide in all these 3 countries.
Yes.
All right, so I think we are going to switch over to Warren, who's patiently waiting to share his wine with us. Loli, thank you so much. That was amazing. That was absolutely wonderful, and we appreciate you being here. So Warren, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Angela. Lovely to hear you. I never tire of hearing you talk about the beauty and splendor of Argentina. I mean, this is what, the 6th or 7th time now we've done this together, so I really appreciate it. And my goodness, okay, so it's 6 or 7 hours to get down to Argentina, but that's 3 or 4 hours less time than it takes to get to London from San Francisco, where I am. So,
Right.
But anyway, I mean, clearly we've seen a lot of Argentina today, and Loli, thank you for showcasing Mendoza, and one of the finest wineries, not only Argentina or the Southern Hemisphere, but the world, Zuccardi. So for those of you fortunate enough to have the wine with you that you ordered for tonight, you're in for a really special treat, because Zuccardi is one of the world's great wineries. And up in Mendoza, I know we talked a lot about acclimating to altitude and all that kind of stuff. And the Chardonnay is at over 4,000 feet, which is about 1.2 miles high. And Claudia, I'd be much more impressed if that was a swig of a bottle of wine than from what I think was a water jug. But anyway, the red wine, the vineyard at Zuccardi, is at about 3,500 feet, which is just about mile high. So it's Denver. So if you've ever been to Denver and you haven't passed out walking down the street in Denver, you'll be fine in Mendoza. You're not climbing Mount Everest here. I think everyone will survive. It's, so it's not to be too melodramatic about the altitude, but for wine, 3,500 feet, 4,000 feet, is pretty high elevation. And, up there in the upper reaches of the mountains above the Uco Valley, they're growing Malbec and Chardonnay. but they're producing beautiful wines, because one of the things that makes great wine is what they call diurnal fluctuation. So the temperature change between day and night. So what's beautiful about Argentina, you get these beautiful warm days, but because of the high elevation, it drops and becomes very cold at night. Not very good for people, but very, very good for wine grapes. And that's what we have here. So we have two wines. One is 100% Chardonnay and 100% Malbec, two of the most distinctive varietals from Argentina. Zuccardi is a winery that was started by Jose about 50, 60 years ago. It's now run by his children. Sebastian is the winemaker, and Julia, who Loli knows quite well, is in charge of marketing. And it's a lot of creativity. In fact, one of a very prestigious publication just recognized one of the vineyards that Zuccardi owns, I think the Polygonus vineyard, as the world's best vineyard. And they're producing tremendous wines. And Chardonnay at that altitude has great acidity. It's great terroir, what the French call terroir, the earth that comes out, and climat, the weather, the climate. Those two elements here combine to rival some of the greatest wine regions in the world, whether it's Chardonnay from the Sonoma Coast here in California, or from Burgundy in France, or Stellenbosch in South Africa, or other parts of the Margaret River in Australia. And this Chardonnay, for those of you who have it, is just a gorgeous, gorgeous example of Chardonnay. Very different from the kind of Chardonnay, even though it's New World in Argentina, very different from what we'd experience here in California. Very restrained in terms of oak and vanilla and butter. And this is much more of a European style. And Argentina tends to gravitate more towards Europe than it does anywhere else. I mean, Loli, you'll attest that, a lot of people say that Buenos Aires is the Paris of the Southern Hemisphere. And beautiful, beautiful city. And this wine reflects that. It's just beautiful straw color, beautiful fruit notes of citrus and stone fruit like peaches and things like that. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous wine on the mouth. Lovely, lovely warmth. You get a nice warm feel, hints of vanilla from the oak, but not too much. But a great balance, a lot of acid in the wine, beautiful, beautiful food wine. And of course, Argentina, great tradition of food. I mean, we saw those big crab and stuff. And so if you and again, Argentina, very much like Europe, wine and food go hand in glove, and you go very, very much together. Here in the United States, we tend to drink wine the way the Europeans drink an aperitif, without food. But it's very rare in Europe, and even in Argentina, to find wine without food. They really, complement each other and go very well. So if you've not had a Chardonnay from the highest elevations of Argentina, from the Zuccardi or El Enemigo, I think, Loli, you had that up there, and maybe one of the greatest white wines in the whole world from another producer up there called Catena Zapata. They make a wine called White Stones that's actually at 5,600 feet of elevation. And when the son of the founder of Catena Zapata planted those vines, he said, "You're insane. You're going to waste all my money. The grapes will never ripen." Well, father was wrong, son was right, and they now produce one of the world's greatest wines. Smells like mint, tastes like cotton candy, in an amazing way. One of the world's greatest white wines from that winery. And Zuccardi, of course, producing tremendous wines. The red wines, what we have here is a red wine, very typical traditional varietal from Argentina, of course. No prizes for guessing. It's Malbec. And Malbec is sort of renowned as the regional varietal, the native varietal of Argentina. Interestingly enough, it was the most prominent grape grown in Bordeaux in the 19th century, in the pre-phylloxera days. And now, of course, it's Cabernet Sauvignon and Cab Franc and Merlot in Bordeaux. But because of global warming, they're bringing the Malbec back into Bordeaux because it ripens much more slowly in extreme temperatures along the same sort of timeline as Cabernet Sauvignon. So you're seeing a lot of Spanish grape varietals and Malbecs coming back into Bordeaux because of global warming and how hot it is becoming in Bordeaux. And this is just a
Warren, I'm sorry, somebody asked what the Q stood for in the Zuccardi.
It's just a designation of this particular series of wines. It's the Q series of wines. So you've got Zuccardi Q, and they have, this is sort of a mid-tier in terms of the accessibility of their wines from a cost standpoint. They're high-end wines from the single vineyards, like the Jose Zuccardi wines, which is named from the founder, or the Emilia Bonarda wines, the grandmother and things of that nature, the next level up. But then they have their beautiful single vineyard wines, the Piedra Infinita, and that level of wines actually just got 100 points from Robert Parker recently from one of their single vineyard wines. Now, those are not the $25 Tuesday night wines like these are. Or what's today? Wednesday night. I can't remember. I was at the French Club today drinking Chevalier Montrachet.
You're okay.
We had a lovely lunch today drinking Mouton.
My motto is it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, I drink wine for breakfast if it's the right stuff. So. Anyway, the beautiful, I mean, extraordinary wines. Like any winery, they have a diversity in terms of the levels of accessibility of their wines. For some that are more modest, all the way up to their wines that are several $100s a bottle. This is not in that category, and I think value for money. This is one of my favorite wines. It's one I showcase a lot. It's a perennial bestseller for us. And I think it gives you real bang for the buck and a very, very, very high quality wine. And Malbec's a very pleasing wine. It's a wine that appeals very much to the American palate. Living here in San Francisco, of course, most people up here drink a lot of Napa wine. And then this sort of wine pleases a lot. It's got that great claret color, as you can see. Beautiful, dark fruit nose on that, to rival Cabernet Sauvignon. So a lot of intensity, but less alcohol. This is only a 14% alcohol by volume wine, which means that you can drink more of it without getting too drunk. It's not too much. It's a little bit worse than Fiji water, but not much.
I appreciate that, Warren. Now, Stephanie just popped in another question in our Q&A. And she said that the Argentina Malbec tastes similar to the American Merlot. And how can she appreciate and taste the difference that the Malbec has?
Well, it's an interesting observation because Merlot and Malbec have very similar characterizations in terms they tend to be a little bit riper in terms of the fruit. So a little, more of sort of dark red fruits, blackberries and things like that, very intense, which is why Merlot and Malbec are used in what are called Meritage, the Bordeaux blends. So in Bordeaux, you'll find a lot of Merlot, particularly on the left bank. On the right bank, you can get 100% Merlot. Well, those of you who remember the movie Sideways, we're talking about they're disparaging Merlot the whole time, and at the end of the movie, the lead character is drinking a red wine from the right bank of Bordeaux, which is 100% Merlot. Which of course,
right, it was a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it.
So, and in fact, in now they're using more Malbec instead of Merlot in Bordeaux. In the Margaret River in Australia, they are making some of the greatest Bordeaux style wines, Meritage wines, where they mix Malbec into the Cab Sauvignon instead of Merlot, again, because the Malbec with global warming ripens along the same sort of time frame as the Cabernet Sauvignon, which means they can harvest them at the same time and blend them simultaneously. So it's what you're recognizing in that flavor profile between Malbec and Merlot are those deep red sort of blackberry, cherry, dark cherry kinds of very intense red, black fruit flavors that are similar characteristics of those two grapes.
delicious. I really like it.
Yeah,
Nice.
and Warren, I have a water bottle because I already drank mine.
Well, I don't have much left either. So, but
Awesome.
I think I think I have Peking duck for dinner here, which I think is going to go great with this. So.
Sounds awesome.
So, I mean, I encourage, I mean, you know, Argentina, you know, it's just a great wine growing region. In fact, Chile is not far behind, and Uruguay too is producing some really lovely wines. And, you know, you go back 20, 30 years, the wines were frankly, you know, not world class. But today, the wines coming out of the top producers of Argentina and Chile and even Uruguay are not only phenomenal for South America, these are wines that are world-class and comparable and competitive with anything from any region in the world, particularly in terms of bang for the buck. It's very difficult, you know, and trust me, I battle here. I'm 30 minutes away from Napa, and I go there a lot, and I'm in the business. People bring me wines all the time, and you know, this is a wine I sell for $20, $25 all in, delivered to your door. And to find a wine of this quality in Napa is going to cost you 2 or 3 times that. And as much as I love the Napa wines, it's just very difficult these days to justify the prices they're asking. It's like Bordeaux and Burgundy, and it's just, you know, just outrageous. So people in the know are drinking wines from Argentina. I drink a lot of wines and promote and sell a lot of wines from Spain, from Portugal. If you're not drinking the wines from Portugal, both red and white, you're totally missing out on some of the greatest values in the world. South Africa, oh my God, I mean, South Africa was producing world-class wines before they even thought of planting grapes in most of the world. I mean, going back to the 1600s. And just phenomenal wines from all over the world. Where are we going next, Angela? I forget.
Yes. Well, with you, Warren, we are going to South Africa next. And tell everybody that's your home. That's where you're from. So you know it intimately, right?
Damn foreigners, can't trust them.
So yeah, South Africa will be going there on March 18th. And then before that, next week, we're doing a olive oil tasting with Candace.
Yes.
With a local business owner in Michigan, and we're going to taste some oils and vinegars from Greece and Italy. So that will be great too.
Yes, I'm very excited. We have our expert Greece presenter, and we're going to do a little bit of Italy. And I'm called Xeno, for those of you who know anything about Greece and the Greek language. I married in to the Greek family, so I'm very excited to do this because the some of the oils that are able to be purchased actually are from Greece. So I'm very excited to do a balsamic vinegar and oil tasting on March 2nd.
I see some of the folks in the chat window are talking about wanting to buy Argentinian wines and other wines. Maybe Angela, if people are interested, you'll share my information, because a lot of these wines are not, are not found ubiquitously across the country. And as many of you know who ordered the wines, I can pretty much ship to anywhere except for a handful of states. So if you're in Utah, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
But, a lot of, most of the wines found in most of the places are not like Zuccardi or Catena Zapata, these very small family-owned artisanal producers. They tend to be sort of like the Norton, sort of the Kendall Jackson, Gallo major producers. And, as okay and as competent as those wines are, they're in a very different category from these small family-owned artisanal produced vineyards. And the beauty of my model is I'm able to put those wines in your hand for as little or less than the mediocre wines you're likely to find in your local supermarket or Total Wine or Bevmo.
So
yeah,
Warren, I'm sorry, there was a Q&A question about cheese pairing recommendations in the Malbec, and then somebody asked for the link for the oil and vinegar, and I'm going to put that in the chat as well.
Well, I think, what goes very well with Malbec, just like you would with Merlot. I mean, some, you want to sort of neutral, like hard cheeses would be very, very good with this. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go with camembert or, or brie. I certainly stay away from pungent cheeses like blue cheese or things like that. But like a Comte would be very, very good with this. That kind of cheese I think would go very, very well with most red wines, and particularly with Malbec.
Warren, do you ship internationally to Canada?
No, I'm afraid
No.
not.
Sorry, no to that one, Maureen. But yes, I did just want to repeat kind of what Warren said. So he does sell the wines to all of our tastings. We typically try to sell them in a package. We typically try to do 3 events in a row that are going to be wine tastings so that you can kind of take advantage of economies of scale when it comes to shipping. They're all fantastic wines. If you got them today, you can tell and you can understand the kind of knowledge and the kind of intimate relationship Warren develops with the wineries in which he sources his products from. So if you're interested, even if you don't want to buy the full 6-pack, if you just want to be connected for any sort of bottles, please let me know. I'd be happy to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Pretty much any wine. I mean, the beauty of my model, because I'm off-premise retail, which is, I don't have a physical location. So we really can tend to be very, very competitive. Generally have wines delivered to your door for 10 to 20% below a reputable, brick and mortar retailer, except, and I apologize, I don't know if Darcy's on the call. We've had a little bit of trouble shipping in the last 10 days or so. As much as I like to believe I can control everything, the act of God takes over Texas with freezing temperatures. It disrupts the entire UPS system. And unfortunately, that's out of my hands. I can't control the weather, but there are a lot of things I can control. And one of the things I can control is getting wine into your hands. Great wines that suit your palate, that are going to cost you less than you would pay for equivalent quality wines at your local store.
Absolutely.
Also, can I
ahead.
just do, we haven't posted it yet, but at the end of March, we are doing a sushi making and a trip to Japan on our virtual vacation. And it looks like there may be an opportunity for those of you who are in Colorado and would like to make a trip and be in Steamboat Springs that night. We may have an opportunity for you to be behind closed doors with the sushi making chef sitting while he's making sushi for you.
In person, woo woo!
In person, woohoo! So keep an eye on that. It's going to be.
I'll be happy to ship you some Junmai Daiginjo sake as well. I love sake.
Oh, yum.
And ship sake too. So, and the beauty of sake.
Watch for more details, everybody.
Well, the beauty of sake, it comes in like these 1 to 1.5 liter bottles, which sometimes I don't know about anyone else, but the 750 milliliter bottle of wine, I'm quite suspicious because I don't think they're putting as much liquid in a 750 milliliter bottle of wine as they did 20 years ago. It just doesn't seem to last the way it did. It's like, I have a feeling it's kind of like the packet of chips you get, right? It's all air and very little potato chips.
Warren, I bet you have an older bottle. We need to get together, and pour them into a bucket and test it.
We can certainly do that. Now, my solution to not being enough liquid in a 750 milliliter bottle of wine is to open a Magnum.
There you go.
There you go.
The Magnums seem to have about as much wine as a half bottle.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for sticking around with us tonight. It has been a pleasure. Loli and Warren, thank you as always for your time and your expertise. It is very much appreciated. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys at the next couple tastings and events. And if you have a place you want us to go, if you have a wine tasting you want us to do, please send us an email and let us know, and we'll connect with Warren and make that happen. So,
and I just want to add, I'm sorry, I just want to add, if you want to save the information in the chat, you can click on the chat box, and in the lower right-hand corner, there's a little, it's like 3 little dots. You can just click on that and hit save chat, and it'll save to your laptop or whatever device you have, so you'll have the information.
Yes, and Angela, let me say that Argentina is very big and it's impossible to cover in such a few minutes everything. And I don't want to take time from Warren, but every question we can answer. It is a beautiful country, and we hope that the situation gets better soon. And there, like with all hotels, there are like a very flexible cancellation policy, and this is the best time to book a trip. Believe us, because for the next year, of course, not for this year from November till March or April, there is no upfront deposit. You can, with like a very few hotels that require upfront deposit, but for those hotels, there is like a 30 days prior to traveling, you can cancel your trip. So.
And Loli, if you could send me
Yes.
an email, Loli, because I've got another one of these coming up, and the host is asking. We're going to do the same wines, but the host is asking for a travel expert from Argentina to join the call.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we need. She lost her access to someone. So if you send me an email, I'll broker that introduction, and maybe you'll join us for that Zoom that's coming up in about 10 days.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Wonderful.
maybe you can share my
Wonderful.
email with Loli so she can reach
Yes,
out.
I will. I'll do
Wonderful.
that right after this.
Wonderful.
Right. Thank you, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
evening.
Thank
Take
you
care.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
A pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Candace. Have a good one. I was just responding to Stephanie.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.